Good evening, students. This is Deekam Pathak from Freebirds Experiences. Today, I welcome you all to Fun with NCERT, and today's session will be taken by Mr. Rupesh Mandal. So, without any further ado, Mr. Rupesh, please continue on with the session. Thank you. Mr. Rupesh, I think your microphone is turned off.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Degan. Welcome to this session of Fun with NCERT. So, in this session, we are actually organizing various sessions related to the activities those activities which are actually available in your NCERT book, and we are actually trying to learn some concept that is also available in your NCERT book. So, without any delay, let's get started with today's topic. So, in today's topic, we have the chapter or the content that is force and law of motion. So I think the students, you might have heard about this word force and the laws of motion, different laws of motion. So let's try to understand and let's try to get some knowledge about what are these force and different laws of motion. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Rupesh Mandal. I am working as an assistant professor in Assam Don Bosco University. So here is the content. So we will going through a little bit of introduction about what exactly is force and the other thing. So force is basically an external effort. Okay. So force is basically an external effort which may move an object at rest. That means any item or any object which is presently at rest, if we apply some force to that particular object, so it can tend to move that particular object. Then force can stop a moving object. Fine. So if any object is moving with its own speed and velocity, so if we apply force to that particular object, we can stop that object. The other thing is that force can change the speed of the moving object. So as we have discussed earlier, that it can stop the moving object. So similarly, it can change the speed of the moving object. Other thing is that it can also change the direction of a moving object. So if any object is moving in any particular platform or in any particular medium, so if we apply force, it may also change the direction of that particular moving object. And in some cases, it can also change the shape and size of a particular object. Fine. So these are the things that force can do with respect to any particular object. So once again, I'm just reminding, it can move an object which is presently at rest. It can stop a moving object. It can increase or decrease the speed of an object. It can change the direction of a moving object, and it can sometimes change the size and shape of an object. So this is the basic definition. Then we have these two important things, that is category of force. That is, we have balanced and unbalanced force. So let's get into details about the balanced and unbalanced forces that we have. So let's take a look at balanced force. So in balanced force, what we have, if two objects are moving in opposite direction and if both the forces are equal, then the resulting or the acting force on that particular body is zero. Let me give you a very basic definition, or you can say a basic idea about what particular thing is that. Suppose we are pulling a particular string with our two hands. So if we can balance, if we can apply equal force, like pulling up that particular string in both the direction, then the string will be at halt. Fine. But if we apply some extra force in one particular hand, so definitely the string will tend to move in the direction of the hand in which we have applied more amount of force. Fine. So that is how, if we can balance, if we apply same amount of force in both like in both the side, then that kind of situation is called balanced force. The balanced force cannot change the state of rest or that it cannot change the state of rest or motion of a particular body, because whatever amount of force we are applying, the same amount of force will be there on the other side. So it got cancelled, or you can say it will be, the action will be actually getting neutralized. Fine. So in the picture you can see that three people are there, six people are there. So they are actually pulling that particular rope. Now, if from both the side, if they are applying same amount of force, so in that case we can say both the team will be in the same position. Fine. So this situation is called, or this kind of force is called balanced force. Fine. Now let's take a look at the other one, that is unbalanced force. Let's go through the definition first. If two forces act on a body in opposite direction, and if one force is greater than the other. So if two forces act on a body in opposite direction, and if one force is greater than the other, then the resultant force is not equal to 0. So in the previous case, what we have seen, that whatever the force from the opposite direction, those were equal. But now in this case, the like component of force in both the different part, it is actually same. Fine. So in this case we can say that the resultant force is not equal to 0, and this causes your unbalanced force. And unbalanced force changes the state of rest or the motion of the body. So in the picture you can see in the downward that same 6 people are there, and the people on the left hand side, they are pulling that rope with a larger force, greater amount of force. Fine. And for your information, the unit of force, we can measure it with the help of that particular unit called Newton. So that's why 400 N and 300 N is written. Fine. So on the left hand side, those 3 people, they are pulling that particular rope with a greater force, greater power, you can say, or greater force. So they are applying 400 Newton and the people on the right hand side, they are applying only 300 Newton. So definitely the team on the left hand side, they will win by pulling that particular rope towards themselves. So this kind of situation where the forces in both the from both the opposite direction, if they are not at all equal, if the resultant is not at all 0, so that condition is called your unbalanced force. Fine. So based on this balanced force and unbalanced force, everything is actually dependent on. So if you want to move any particular object, so you apply some force. Suppose a glass of water is there. Fine. So that particular glass of water, although it is sitting on the table or maybe on any particular surface, but although it is going to have certain force. So when you try to pull that or try to push that particular glass of water through your finger, fine. So if you are applying a little force, the object or that particular water glass, it will not move from its position, because you have not reached till that particular threshold. Now when you cross that particular limit, then only the glass of water will change its position. So that condition is called your unbalanced force, and based on a lot of other parameters, we can try to understand the effect of force and various laws of motion, how a particular object is actually getting motion. Fine. So I think till this point you have at least understood the concept of force and difference between balanced and unbalanced force. Now we will be getting some information regarding laws of motions, different laws of motion. So basically we have 3 laws of motion. So we will be getting into it. So before we go into laws of motion, so we have to consider this particular person. So did you people came through about this particular person, Sir Isaac Newton? So does the picture give you any sort of information? Okay, let me give you another picture. So there is a man His name is Sir Isaac Newton, and he was sitting on the tree and he saw one apple fell down. Now, if you were in his position, so what you will do? Or suppose if I was in his position, what can I do? Okay, so what I will do, I will just simply take that particular apple and start eating. But what this guy did, fine, this guy started thinking. This guy had some question. What are the question came to his mind? That why apple always fall down? Isn't that question very silly? Why the apple is falling down? So everyone knows, like if any particular thing is like it is hanging in the tree, and if that particular thing is somebody is trying to remove that particular thing, so definitely that item will come down. So everybody know. But what is the science behind it? The other question that is actually coming to his mind, that why isn't it is going up? So okay, it is the apple is actually coming down, but why isn't it is going up into the sky? Fine. So with this thinking only, the basic principle of different laws of motions are actually being derived. And who is the person behind it? This particular person on your screen, Sir Isaac Newton, has like derived all those laws of motion. Fine. So the entire laws of motion, everything we are facing in like day-to-day activity, so based on these three different laws of motion. Fine. So let's see what is the actual science behind this falling of this particular apple and other aspects. Okay. So we will be learning about Newton's first law of motion. So as I have already discussed that there are basically three laws of motion we have. Okay. So in the first laws of motion, the definition was an object remains in a state of rest or in uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change the state of by an applied force. Fine. So an object remains in a state of rest or in uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change the state applied by force. What is the meaning of that? Let's try to understand this particular definition with an example. Let's take the example of a ball. Let's take the example as football. So when you place that football on the ground, so will it move? So if it is a plain surface, okay, and you are placing that particular football, will it move? I suppose no. That football will remain on the ground as it is. Fine. Exceptions can be there, like if there are very high speed of wind blowing, then only it can move. Otherwise, if it is a plain surface, it will stand in its position. Now, when this particular ball will move, if any footballer kick that particular ball, then only it will move. Fine. So I think the first two picture is clear. So in the first picture, just we kept the ball on the football ground, so it is in the rest. In the second picture, what happened? A footballer, a player, kicked that particular ball. Fine. And in that particular position, when the footballer is actually kicking that particular ball, a situation arises. What is that situation? That some sort of unbalanced force actually arises in that situation. So ball was actually placed on the ground, so it is having some force. But when a footballer has kicked in that particular ball, so the balance in the force is actually like it becomes unbalanced. Fine. So in that case, it start moving, or you can say it start flowing in the sky. Fine. Then once that particular ball is actually moving in the air, so that particular object is in motion. Fine. So when that particular ball was moving, and finally when it suppose that particular footballer hit the goal post. he has scored a goal. So when that particular ball actually hit the goal post, that the net of the goal post, then only that item will come into rest. What happens? The flowing object was there, and once it met with an particular net, then only it is actually coming to rest. Okay, so with this particular thing, we came to know that an object remains at state. First of all, the object was at rest, then some force was applied, then it came into motion. Or in other way, we can say from the third diagram, the object was in motion and it come into contact with an stationary object, and once again it came into rest. So with that, we can conclude that whatever an object, whether it is a stationary object or a moving object, if it comes in contact with some sort of force, then something will happen. Okay, and in this particular concept, another thing is there, that is called inertia. What is inertia? The natural tendency of an object to remain in a state of rest or in uniform motion is called inertia. So if an object is there lying on the ground, it tends to remain on that ground itself. That is the first point. That means it wants to remain in the same state. If we are kicking that particular item, kicking that particular ball, so then only it will go to the motion. Now, on the opposite side, the item will try to remain in the motion unless and until we are stopping that particular item. So that is also called as inertia. So basically, there are three types of inertia that is available. That is inertia of rest, inertia of motion, and we also have inertia of direction. Let's try to understand the inertia with a little example. Fine. Suppose all of us, we might have traveled in the bus, like I have already traveled a lot of time in the bus. So every time we are not getting a seat, right? So what we do, we usually tend to stand. So suppose the bus was very full and I was standing and I was holding some rod or something. So suddenly the bus started. So what will happen? I can sense some feeling that I will try to, I may fall down. Now why this is happening? Initially I was standing and bus was also standing, and once the bus suddenly starts moving, I will tend to fall down. Why this is happening? So initially my body was at rest, the bus is also at rest. Fine. So in this first picture, the bus is also at rest and the human body is also at rest. Okay. Now when the bus starts moving, so the bus is actually start moving, but my body is still tend to be in rest. Okay, and there is a unbalance actually happened. What is the why this unbalance happened? Because where I am actually standing, using my feet, right? So my feet is actually touching the bus. So when the bus started, my feet is there, so my feet is actually moving, but my upper portion of the body, it is still in the rest. So my body is trying to fell backward, because if the bus is moving forward, so my body tries to fall down in the backward. Because of this is called inertia of rest. I am initially at rest, and when the bus starts moving, my body tends to fall down. Okay, so this is one example. In the same example, we can think of if I am moving with the bus and suddenly the bus stops, or it tries to stop. So one tendency is that I may fall forward. Why? Because when the bus is moving, my body is also moving with the bus. But when the bus stops, so bus came into rest, and similarly my feet, which is actually touching the bus ground, bus platform, it is also it also came into rest. But my upper portion of the body, it is still tries to be in the motion. Okay, and I usually, if I'm not holding the pipe or rod, whatever it is there, if I'm not holding it properly, I will try to fall down forward. Okay, so this is called the inertia of motion. I am giving another example, that is inertia of motion. Suppose a car is moving and a driver is sitting, and that car actually is actually hitting one wall. Okay, and if the driver is not wearing a seat belt, so what will happen? The driver will come out of the car. Why this is happening? So initially the car was moving. The car is in moving state. Now when this car come in contact with a very hard or rigid wall, okay, so what happened? The car came to rest. But the man or the person, the driver who is actually sitting in the car, he was also moving with the car. But his body was, when the car hits the wall, his body was also moving, but his body doesn't came into rest. And that's why his body is actually falling forward and he is coming out of the car. So that is the basic principle of inertia. And that is why, because of this inertia, the Newton's first law of motion is also called as the law of inertia. You have to remember this one as well. Fine. So let's do an activity regarding this particular concept, the inertia. So what we may require is that we may require a transparent glass, some coins, maybe one or two, any other small objects, or one small sort of cardboard. Okay, so we will start this activity, and let me shift to my activity area and I will start this particular thing. So I have this particular glass. Fine. Then I have a coin, 5 rupee coin. You can take 5 rupee coin or a 10 rupee coin, which may be heavy. Now I am placing this cardboard on top of this glass. Fine. And I am placing this particular coin on top of it. Okay. So you need to consider that the coin will be at the center, and you need to place this particular cardboard on the opening side of the glass. Okay, like this. I suppose this is clear. I'm just placing like that. Okay. Now what I will do, I will just flick this card with my finger. Okay, and see what will happen. I'm just flicking this one for you. So what happens? That card is actually flown away, but the coin actually get inside. Okay. So once again, I will do this activity. You can see the glass is empty, right? The glass is empty. I'm just keeping this card. Then I'm placing this coin and I'm just flicking this particular card. Fine. It is that particular coin is actually going inside that particular glass. So why this is happening? That this particular coin is also supposed to flown away with this particular what you can say, the card, but it is not flown away, but instead of that it is actually going inside your glass. Why this particular thing is actually happening? This is because of inertia. So what is the principle behind this? This is basically happening because of inertia. Fine. So okay. So why this one is happening? When we are actually placing this card on top of the glass and we are also placing the coin. Now when in this particular position, the coin is at rest and your card is at rest. When we just place the coin and the card, okay, let me do one thing. Instead of showing you this, I will show my camera only. Okay. Okay. So this one is empty. I'm placing this card. So when I just place this particular card, this card is now at rest because nobody is touching, nobody is applying any force to this particular card. Okay. Now I'm placing this coin as well. Now when I place this coin is also at rest. Fine. Now the coin and the card is at rest. Fine. Now when I am just trying to flick this card, what is happening? I am applying some force. Okay. So when I'm just trying to flick this card, I am applying force. So where I am applying the force? I am applying the force only on the card. I am not actually applying the force in the coin. So just look at the other way, just for your theoretical concept. Like if I'm flicking this coin, so what will happen? The coin will move out. So I am applying the force on this particular card. So by flicking that, I have, okay. So by just flicking that, so I am applying force on this particular card. Okay, so when I applied force on this particular card, so this card came into contact with the force, and that's why this card attained some momentum, some motion. So this card is only, it is getting away, but the coin which was at rest, okay, so the coin was initially at rest, so that's why it tends to remain in the same position. Okay, so that's why when it remains in the same position, so once the card has like completely gone out of the contact, so if there is nothing, so definitely the coin will go down inside the glass. So that is the basic thing that is actually happening in this particular case. So I hope this like activity is clear to all of you. So this you can perform in your home with some like supervision of your parents. Okay. So I will move to my presentation. Okay. Okay. So I hope this activity is clear. Now let's move to the second activity, or you can say the second law of motion. So in the second law of motion, we have certain concepts. What are those concepts? We have to understand about what is mass and what is acceleration. Okay, so let's try to understand, or let's try to get some knowledge about the definition of the second law of motion. Okay, so what is that second law of motion is telling about? The rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to the applied force in the direction of force. So it looks like very complicated, right? Okay, so we will try to understand the concepts first. Momentum. What is momentum?
Sorry to interrupt you. Are
Yeah.
you screen sharing right now? I think your screen sharing is off.
Okay. I'm very much sorry with
No,
that.
it's fine. It's fine. It
Okay.
happens.
Okay. Now it is visible, I guess.
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah. Now it is. Yeah. Please continue.
Okay. Thank you for reminding me. Okay. So Newton's second law of motion, it is saying that the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to the applied force in the direction of force. Okay. So here in this second law of motion, we need to understand about what is momentum, what is mass, what is acceleration. So what is mass? Basically the weight of an particular object. Okay. And what is acceleration? You can also consider this one as the speed of an object, with how much speed the object is actually trying to move. Okay, so based on mass and its speed, or you can say the velocity, we can identify the momentum. Okay, so what is momentum? The momentum of a body, it will be the product of its mass and velocity. So if you know the weight of that particular object, that is mass, and if you know the speed with how much speed that object is actually moving, we can identify its momentum. Okay, so that is called your momentum. Now the Newton's second law has been is being stated as the acceleration of an object is dependent on two variables. What are those two variables? Which are the acting force upon the object and the mass of the object. And what is the formula? That is, force is equal to mass into acceleration, or you can also get the other way around, that is acceleration is equal to force divided by mass. So this is your second law of motion. Fine. So we will first try to get some knowledge regarding the second law of motion. Okay. So I am just giving this particular animation. For example, there may be two objects that may be available. Okay. So here two people are there. Okay. So one person is light in weight, the other person is very heavy. And the same person is actually trying to pull those or trying to move those persons with same amount of force. Okay. Now, when we say on the left hand side, we have person with less weight, the amount of force is also there, the same. Okay. So the first person on the left hand side, it will swing for long direction. Okay, it will swing for larger distance. And the second person, it will only swing for less distance. Why this is happening? Because based on the formula, force is equal to mass into acceleration. Okay, so based on this one, we can say in the first case, the mass is less. Okay, and the same amount of acceleration is actually given to that particular object. So in that case, it is actually moving to a lesser distance. On the other side, on the right hand side, that particular person is little bit heavy. The same amount of force is being applied as considered with the first one. So it is only moving to a smaller direction, because in this case the mass is more. So that's why it is only covering a small amount of distance. Because from this one we can say the force is same. Here the mass is actually the value of m is actually getting a different one. And because of that, the acceleration, the movement, the speed is actually less. Okay. So suppose in both the cases, the unit is suppose 30 Newton. Fine. Suppose the unit is only 30 Newton. So in both the cases, the force, because the same person is actually trying to place the person in motion. So in the same person is applying only 30 Newton. In the first case, mass is less. So definitely acceleration will be more. Okay. Suppose in the first case, mass is only 10 kg. So in that case, acceleration will be 3. Fine. So that is why if the acceleration is 3, so that is why that particular person is moving for a longer duration or for longer distance, because his speed is more. On the other way, for the right side person, we have f is equal to 30, and we have suppose m is equal to, instead of 10, we have m is equal to 20 kg. So in that case, acceleration will be how much? So suppose m is 30 itself, 30 kg. So in that case, acceleration will be 1. So in this case, speed is less. Acceleration is less, velocity will be less. Okay. So by that we can say that it can only move to a little bit of direction. Okay. So that defines the Newton's second law of motion. Or in this, from the picture that I am presently showing, in this also we can understand. If we have in the first picture on the above, we can see a man is actually pushing that particular box. Okay. So if one box is there, so based on the first law of motion, it can move the object with a greater speed. Fine. For example, generally when we used to travel outside with some trolley bag. So if my trolley bag is having less weight, so it is very easy to carry, right? We can pull that particular trolley with a greater speed. easy to handle, everything is easy. But in the same trolley, suppose we are putting some more weight, so accelerate, like we will be having less acceleration, or you can say we will be having like speed will be less. It's very difficult to manage. So in the second figure, you can see instead of one box, we have another 5 more boxes of the same thing. So initially, if one box is 10 kg, now in the second picture, it have six boxes. So it becomes 60 kg. So definitely, if that person is applying the same amount of force, so it will move only with very smaller speed. Okay, so based on this concept only, the second law has been derived. Okay, so I hope this one is clear, and we will also perform one activity with that. So what is that activity? We need to make this kind of setup. So we require some ruler, we require some boxes, rubber band, sticky tape, if you have like cello tape and all, preferably the transparent one, some coins, some holders so that we can put the rubber band, and some string. So without getting like keeping you delay, I will shift to my activity area, and we'll start the thing. Okay. Okay. So I think you can see the camera. First of all, what you can do, you can take a rubber band. So what I have done, I have taken the elastic strap of the face mask, as nowadays the face masks are easily available. So I have used washed face mask in my house. So I have taken the like that particular elastic band. Okay. So I will cut this one. So if you have a rubber band, it will be easy for you for doing that particular thing. So we need to make this kind of thing. Okay. Then what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to use any sort of holder, or what you can do at any particular corner of your table, you can keep two pen or pencil, and you need to stick with this kind of tape. So what I got a file holder I had. So I had used that particular like holding thing. So I have placed with certain amount of sticky tape, and I fix this up. Okay, you have to make sure that whatever you are fixing, it should be tight enough, it should not come out. Okay, so you can either stick to a particular like I will show that one. You can place this kind of like two pen or pencil, and you can stick it with the sticky tape, cello tape. Okay, and you should stick that particular thing with some like hard cello tape so that it should not come out. Okay, so once you have done, then what you can do, you can take a ruler. Okay, you can also fix this ruler in the table, or what you can do, you can draw some line. If you can place a paper, white sheet, you can also draw the line. So what I did, I have drawn this line, and I have marked this line as well. Okay, so it's in centimeter, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, and like that till 30 centimeter I had. Okay, so like that. So once I have placed this holder, what I can do, I can fix this rubber band, like it's my self-made rubber band. So I can fix up here. Okay, then I require some string like this. Okay, and in one end, what you can do, you can just for better holding purpose and for better understandability, you can fix any one corner with some paper clip or safety pin or anything that can be highlighted. Okay, then what I will do, I will just, okay, I will just try to tie this up. Okay, I'm just tying this up. And you need to set up this particular thing in such a way that it will be like a slingshot. You can stretch this particular string and it can move in that way. Okay, with the rubber band. And for better handling, you can cut one corner. Okay, now we are almost ready with this one. And what is the purpose? I have made this particular lines, or you can also put this ruler if you are having one this kind of ruler, like metal ruler or any sort of ruler you can use, or a wooden ruler. It will be easy to like get the like distance, how much you are actually pulling. Okay, then you may require this kind of boxes, matchbox you can take. I got this kind of boxes as well. Okay, so I will do with this particular box itself. Okay, so the first thing what I will do, I had taken this matchbox and it is empty. You can see nothing is there. Okay, nothing is there, it's completely empty. Okay, so you need to place this box like that. I will also show from another angle if it is fine with you. Can you see this? Okay, so this is my string. So I'm just putting at the edge of this particular elastic string. Okay, that rubber band, whatever you can say. So what I will do, I will pull this particular string. So initially it is in, when I'm just keeping it at rest, it is initially at 16 centimeter length. Okay, now I am pulling this one till 19, suppose. Okay, I'm just pulling this one till 19 and I'm like releasing this one. So have you seen, it has moved to a certain direction, like some distance it moved. Let's try the same thing and let's see if it is moving in the same, like in the same distance or not. So I have pulled that particular thing till 19 centimeter. So almost it is moving till same direction. Once again we will try. So 16 till 19, I'm just pulling it up and releasing. Okay, so it is only moving certain distance. Okay, now instead of 19, if I'm just pulling that particular item till some more distance, suppose till 21, I'm just pulling that particular thing till 21. Now what will happen? It is moving to a longer like distance. Let me show you. Okay, can you see me? Fine. Okay. So initially what we have tried, we have kept this particular box empty, nothing is there. So initially we have from 16 we have moved this particular pin till 19 only. Then we have check how much distance it is actually moving. Very less distance it is moving, hardly 4 or 5 centimeter. So instead of 19, if okay, got turn off. Never mind. I will just try this one. Okay. So now it will get a little shorter. So we will start with 12. So from 12, suppose till 16, we are pulling it up, releasing. So it is going a very lesser distance. Okay. So if I am just, instead of 16, if I am moving till suppose 19, okay. So it is going a more distance. And instead of 19, if I am moving this particular object, suppose till, otherwise one second, it will come out. Okay. Suppose till 21, if I am just pulling this one, it is moving to a like more distance. Once again it came out. Okay. Now what we will do, we will try this particular thing with some heavy weight. Okay. So what I will do, I will put some coin inside this matchbox and we will like check what is actually the observation. Before that, let me tie this one properly. Okay. Let me put one more knot to this. Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. Now what we will do, we will put some coins. Okay. So if I am just from 14, I am taking till 19, then if I'm like releasing, it is moving till that point. From 15, I had taken till 19, it moved till that direction. Okay. Now I'm filling this box with some coin and it become little bit heavy. Okay. Now first of all, let me try with from 14 till 18. I'm trying. It is not at all moving. Okay. Let me apply some more force. Before that, let me try this one. Okay. So from 14 till 20, still it is not moving. Let me try with some more force. Okay. Till 21, if it is coming, then also it is not moving. So what happened in this case? So when we have increased the weight, the mass of this particular box, so the acceleration is getting less. What is the formula? What is the formula we had applied? Let me show you that particular screen so that you can also have an idea. Okay. So what was the formula? Force is equal to mass into acceleration. Okay. So in order to, like in the first case when the box was empty, okay, so in that case mass is less. Okay, mass is less and acceleration was more. Or in the other way, what we can derive it from here. Let's talk about the acceleration. Let's talk about how much speed that like object will get. Okay, so in the first case, the force was more, the force was there and mass was less. So like acceleration is more. When we are applying the same force and the mass is getting more. So in that case, definitely the acceleration will come down. So this define or this illustrate our second law of motion. So you can also practice this in your home. You can take help from your parents or like guardian, and you can do this. Let me change the camera angle. Okay. So I hope we have covered this activity, and you can also make this kind of setup in your home. Okay. Now Newton's third law of motion. So in Newton's third law of motion, it is being defined as for each and every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, and they act in different bodies. Okay, so this particular motion, because of this particular like law of motion, we can suggest that why the rocket is actually moving like upward, because in the like rocket engine, the gases are actually getting burned, and it is producing some sort of thrust, and because of that particular thrust, which is actually like pushing downward, and that is why the rocket is moving upward. So that is how, like in day-to-day activity and in most of the like physical phenomena, we are applying this Newton's third law of motion. So when you are actually walking, so what you are doing, so we are actually applying some sort of force on the ground through, and there is a reaction, there is an opposite reaction actually we are getting from the ground, and because of that we can on the ground, on the flat surface. Okay, have you tried walking on the water? Can we walk on the water? No, because the amount of force when we try to push our leg or feet on the surface of water, we are not actually getting that amount of force. So the amount of force we are actually applying on the surface of the water, something is actually getting, like the force are the same amount of force we are not actually getting back in our leg. So that's why we cannot walk on water. Similarly, if you are walking on sand, okay, so there will be some sort of disbalance because the force are actually getting in different directions. You are not getting the same amount of force returning like back in your leg. So when you are walking in a flat surface, so in the flat surface, the equal amount of force, what amount of force you are applying on the ground, same amount of force you are actually getting on your shoe or on your feet. So that's why you can walk stable on the flat surfaces. Okay. Another example is that if you are dropping any ball on any particular hard surface, so it will tend to rebound, because the ground is like when the ball is actually getting dropped, so it is having some mass, so it is the object is in inertia. So initially when you are releasing the ball, so previously the object was on like inertia of rest. When you release the ball, because of the gravitational pull, the ball will fall down. Okay, and once the ball come into contact of the ground, so the ground is actually applying a reactive force. Okay, the amount of force the ball is actually providing in the ground, so same amount of force is actually getting back in the ball. And based upon the physical property of the ball, whether it is a like leather ball, whether it is a plastic ball or rubber ball, so it is actually bouncing. Okay, so like if the medium is vacuum, so if there is no sort of friction or all other those sort of parameters, so it will jump in that same height from where we are actually leaving that particular ball. Okay, so this defines the Newton's third law of motion. If time permits, in the next activity we will also do the activity with respect to this Newton's third law of motion. So I hope this one is clear to all of you. So with that, I will conclude my session. So I will stop here itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rupesh, for this session. We all had a great time, and yeah, hopefully the students did as well. And unfortunately, we don't have that much live members joining us. I think it's because the exams are going on, right? But yeah, but we will have a lot more students watching this stream on record. So yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful class.
Okay. Thank you, Deepam. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I would like to thank Innovation Hub Shillong Science Center for organizing this kind of session. And this kind of session will be very beneficial for the students because they will get doing this kind of activity, and they can also perform this activity in home with proper guidance. Like we are also here to help in case of any problem or any guidance if it is required. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. Okay then. Yeah.
Okay.
Good night. Good night,
Okay.
students.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good.